buskers don't want to do.
What is a noise violation?
Noise violation is about $350 for the ticket.
Okay, and again, we don't want to be ticketing a busker with a $350 thing, and I mean, we don't want to be out there with decibel readers. So it's what is, you know, I mean, for 180 years that place has existed, and with all the yings and yangs, and again, when I say this, and I'm not making this up, and you know, the media can have fun with it if they want, we chose to try to be as less bureaucratic as possible, okay? That's what we chose to do. We didn't want to get into quality, we didn't want to get into hours, we didn't want to get into any of that stuff.
The city reviews hadn't come with the immediate reflecting the views of the public, so I think that by saying that they're having fun with it, I think that you're really saying the public is.
No, not at all. That's not what I'm saying. And I mean, if we want to get to it, again, speak to some of the other folks in the market. The challenges, again, the business improvement area supports, the business improvement area, the 450 businesses that are there, who many of them are entertainment places like Zaphods or whatever, they support some kind of process, okay? They support a fee because they believe it should be pay to play. They pay the highest taxes of anywhere else in the city for the pleasure and privilege to operate in the Byward market, and they support that. So please don't take the context of the comments out of context. So the media didn't go specific to the market and speak to the other vendors, and if you spoke to the vendor population generally, they have all had bad experiences with buskers, and we are trying to deal with that and say, that's part of the market. We put them in the bylaw to make them part of the market, and no, we're not eliminating space. Oh, by the way, we're actually creating spaces for buskers, okay? So last year, council decided to get rid of all of the sausage carts and all of the outdoor stuff, and they all made a plea for that and said, those things should be on the street. Well, the 150 or so restaurants and businesses that were down there said, no, we're here for 24 hours a day. We pay taxes and overhead year round. We're not on the street creating problems with the police and stuff and people leaving at 2 o'clock in the morning. So the community collectively decided that that group was not part of the market. That's the kind of balancing act. So again, I want your issues so that we can take them down. You're now licensed and part of the process. You are part of the program. You have an opportunity to provide comment, but so do the other stakeholders. So do the restaurants, so do the bars, so do the people who live there, so do the vendors. We're all part of it. So do the rickshaw runners, so does the Kalesh rider, okay? So the Kalesh guy, he's not happy where he is. He wants to be over at the end of the William Street Mall where, guess what? The buskers want to be. The vendors aren't happy being on York Street because they feel they're being pushed away. Guess what? They want to be on William Street next to the Byward Market building. So our job, you know, and again, I'm not trying to be it's just you have to understand you're part of a very dynamic community. And if this was like Victoria downtown, where there was the strip of artists and the waterfront and buskers and stuff, it's not the same,
I
kind of thing.
talking about the waterfront. There's another, like if you go closer into downtown, it's not right by the water's edge, but where there are vendors and arts and crafts, it's well managed. My thought is that this still can be well managed and well run with all the stakeholders at not such a high price for buskers, because I think we're different.
We're going to deal with the price, Gabrielle. So did you have a comment, sir?
Yeah, I had something to say about what he said about the fixed locations. Because well, I do balloons as well. So me and him, we both do balloons, and basically we find, because like if we rotate, like just as he said, like people, they'll say, hey, we'll come back later for a balloon, and then we're not there, right? I think like the whole thing about the rotation, like I think it's mainly like for people who are playing music, like guitars and stuff like that. Because for us, like if I'm doing balloons and he's playing a guitar, like last year, like he's on this side, I'm on this side, and we don't have a problem with that at all. We're both making money, and I'm not affected. So I think the only people who should actually rotate should be musicians.
Well, we have 3 designated spaces for street artist performers. So the question is balloon art considered, should be considered as street art?
Well, why not?
As opposed to just a performer?
Like I can make a girl riding a motorcycle.
I guess that depends on it. That falls in the definition. So we'll have to look at that and see if that can fall in the definition.
And just to take that, so we've had a situation with the art craft community, and again, I want to keep drawing these parallels so you understand the challenge that goes into trying to make decisions and to try to work with the community. There had been henna artists that have been on the market for many years, and it's a popular thing, especially when the school kids are there, that someone can get whatever skull and crossbones for $5 when the kids are there in June. and that's what they're wanting. And then there's other more complicated henna that can be 20 and 30, and some of these people go off and do weddings, and they're asked to come from the market and they go do weddings, traditional henna. But the jury that looks at the art and craft says henna is not considered art and craft. It has to be a durable good. They went through this whole exercise. So now henna is going to be considered street art. And because you have to sit there and apply the henna, you sort of can't move in the middle. Oops, my hour's up. And you're in the middle of applying henna to someone's back, and you have to take your whole show on the road. So we've been challenged, and that will be coming forward in 2011, probably as part of this new space, to try to put a couple of stands for portraiture and henna. But we've got about 5 applications from people who do portraiture, caricature, and they're fitting under that same kind of thing, that they can't move in the middle of a family's portrait or a caricature. So they fit the street art combination. So we're looking at that. So again, that can be considered. So we've got that marked. We're moving through these folks here. Yes, ma'am?
Just an issue, it kills like first-time buskers, because no one's gonna try, like, no.
So are you talking price?
No issues, you're talking about issues.
Yeah,
like
so what
the-
kills first-time buskers?
The fact that they have to get the license and the permit. because-
Okay, but that's a pricing issue,
Oh.
right? Okay, so let's say we're on that. So
Just going with this fellow here, an hour is too little. I would go for an hour and a half, 2 hours at least. Just because if you're doing well in the corner, then you gotta go. You gotta give up your spot. Someone, especially if you're doing a musical act that might be a little bit more unique, like me and my partner do. Someone says, hey, you know, did you guys catch that group that was at that corner? You guys should check them out after lunch. They go back, you're not there. You just lost a little bit of money, right? Especially if you're a unique act that relies on word of mouth. Spreading that. So an hour, I think, is definitely very little, especially when you factor in setting up and everything.
right, no problem. Good point. You guys?
Well, we just, we didn't want to tell about our issues when everybody else is here, because this is.
Oh, go ahead. Everybody else says. Like,
Well, yeah, but it's.
indulge yourself, man. You've been waiting all night. Go for it.
No, it's just because it's kind of long and it's so unique that it doesn't, like, it's just about circle buskers. And I just want to talk a lot about that, but like I don't want to take up everybody's time and start talking about that. So it's fun to go for it. All right. So
This is like talking to Eskimos about snow, guys. I mean, so we've had the balloon people that say, well, we're sort of different in the rest of the group. And we've had the henna people that say they're different.
Well, actually,
Okay.
I wasn't finished yet. What I was going to say is that there's no consultation between us and you
Right.
until this point, after the bylaws are already in place, that we need some type of feedback.
Sure.
Has there been any?
But there's no problem moving forward with that, and that's why we're here tonight. Okay, so and our reality has been literally until the rubber hits the road. We could put notices in the paper and say, calling all buskers to come and give us input on what happened.